I'm Kaylee Barrett, and this is our audience. Our manager TK, our assistant Mr. Jones, our head coach Leslie stepped out to get a burrito. It's okay. Yeah. I'm talking about sleep deprivation in student athletes. Many high school students suffer from sleep deprivation, especially student athletes. According to the Center of Advancing Health, only 80% of high school students actually get enough sleep. Their study also says that young adults should sleep 9 to 10 hours a night to fully function and learn properly the next day. Sleep deprivation is also known to lead to depression, higher levels of stress, and unhealthy habits. Some of high school students have taken these studies into consideration and changed to help those students who are suffering. High schools around the country have pushed the start time back an hour to give students an extra hour to sleep. Although people argue that that would give students another hour at night to stay awake, it has done what it is meant to do and give students an extra hour of sleep. However, not all high school students are following suit. High school students are struggling with outside factors such as family problems, work, schoolwork, and extracurricular activities. Not giving enough sleep because of their high school start time should not be another factor of their stress. One of the Sleep Foundation's many studies states that the consequences of sleep deprivation in high school students are the limitation of students' ability to learn, listen, concentrate, and solve problems. This student also shows 58% of students are worried about things too often. 56% of students are anxious or stressed the majority of the time, and that many of the students in this study reported feeling hopeless or depressed. Lack of sleep may be a primary factor of these results. Student athletes are the students that are suffering the most from sleep deprivation. Students are known to push themselves inside and outside the classroom because their sport is motivating them to be the best in everything. Most student athletes do not just play in school, but year-round or on travel select teams, causing more stress and busy weekends where students can pick up hours of work. These students are going out of town every weekend for tournaments and games and not getting home until late Sunday afternoon with little to no time to do homework. Year-round practices also take time away from student athletes in pre-advanced placement or advanced placement classes who has homework every night. Although practices throughout the week are large factors of procrastination seen in many young adults in extracurricular activities, student athletes are still exceeding expectations set by students that are not involved in outside activities. The University of Kansas conducted a study to see if student athletes were more likely to graduate than non-athletic students. The study proved the hypothesis was right when the students concluded that 98% of student athletes graduated versus the 90% of non-athletic students. If student athletes have a higher success rate in the classroom, then why is there nothing being done to prove their health and professionalism across the board? Junior colleges and colleges have been separating student athletes and students into different classes, dorms, and campuses to help both groups of students. Separate campuses do not just help the student athletes attending, they assist the non-athletic students as well. By separating these students, student athletes can have more time on assignments and following classes, and other students can sign up for more flexible schedules without any interference of student athletes filling up the classes first. Another benefit to the separation of students would be the added hours of sleep for the student athletes. Sleep deprivation would no longer be the massive problem that is in the student athletes as it is now. Student athletes would also have fewer issues with their health. Sleep is a way for one's body to reset, a way for the brain to heal all that the body has gone through throughout the day and take in anything that has happened. Sleep helps the body with memory and conjugation. Sleep also helps student athletes with recovery. Allowing their body enough time to rest is beneficial because their muscles can rest and get ready for the next day to continue building. Student athletes are not getting enough sleep are 68% more likely to be injured than student athletes with at least 8 hours of sleep. According to Mary Jacobs of the Dallas Morning News, according to the article, sleep also helps with preventing injuries. If getting enough sleep on a nightly basis could prevent injury in athletes and increase success rates for students, then why aren't more schools taking the initiative to help their students succeed? In the same article, Jacobs also reported that a Garland High School football coach says that those same athletes that are not getting enough sleep are not building muscle even when working as hard as the other players that are. If all athletes need is sleep, then why aren't schools looking for the answer? In conclusion, with all the evidence gathered to support the hypothesis and the majority of student athletes are sleep deprived and are suffering because of this, why aren't more schools helping their student athletes continue to succeed with fewer health issues? More schools could be a part of the movement to do more for their students and student athletes. There are a lot of ways to help these students and more should be done for these student athletes early on than rather when it's too late and their sleep patterns become permanent. The Sleep Foundation states that the changes in the accreditation rhythm occurs during young adults when most teens experience a sleep phase delay. This shift in young adults causes them to naturally feel alerted later at night, making it difficult for them to fall asleep before 11 p.m. Since most teens have early school start times along with other commitments, their sleep phase delay can make it difficult to get sleep teens need. The article also says that if young adults continue to have poor sleep patterns, it could become more long-term and even permanent. This evidence is why schools should seek solutions now and not wait any longer.
Good one.